guys, so this is the continuation of part two, the life and journey of a teenage mom. So this topic of discussion for this week is going to be on pregnancy number three. So pregnancy number three had its challenges, but those challenges weren't due to any type of emotional type of ordeal. This was more or less on like, this is the year I was graduating from high school, and I really kind of had to step it up a little bit differently in this situation. So here I am in this relationship, still with my daughter's father. It's still off and on, up and down, going through it. So emotional challenges at this point in time. But here I am still very much sticking in there, being by his side, being that ride or die that I've always been. So during this course in this time, I really wanted a little boy. And so we decided we was going to do one more pregnancy, have one more child, and that was going to be it. I was going to get my boy and I would be done. Well, we ended up with a little surprise. So, instead of just the little boy, we ended up with another little girl, and instead of twins. So here I am pregnant with twins. I think I found out about when I was 5 months pregnant at this point in time, and they knew I was going to have them early on, so we were taking all the type of precautions and doing all the necessary things we need to do. At the same time, it's still in school. This is my senior year, so I end up having to come out of school a little early for maternity leave because of the high risk that I was with having the twins. So my best girlfriend was getting my homework for me during this course in this time, which I'm so grateful and thankful for because it kept me ahead. It kept me ahead of the game at this point, and I wasn't going to miss a beat with having to go out so early. So the pregnancy did have its challenges, and I did end up going into labor early, way before it definitely wasn't expected during that time. I ended up having them in March, and here I had to graduate in June. So it was a little bit challenging because I didn't know how school was going to really start to play in the, not even school, but graduation was really going to happen after going through this ordeal. So during this, I went through the emotions, still obviously getting my homework at this point in time, and finally with the twins being breech, I had to have a cesarean, so that whole ordeal was a little bit different as well. And then of course I had to have another cesarean on top of that. So now with them being premature, and the care for them was a little bit different, so I had to incorporate that in my life now as well because they were number one. So I had to make sure they were good before I could obviously go on and do what I need to do. So obviously getting them situated and getting them all together, I was able to do. And my mom, my stepdad became obviously a big part in this as well. So getting them situated, getting them home one at a time, because my daughter had to come home last because she had a little bit more complications than my son, and she was a lot smaller too, so she had to learn a lot of different things. Like she didn't know how to take the bottle, so it was, she had the tubes in her to help her eat at this point in time until she learned those things. So there was a lot going on with that in a sense. So here we are. At this point, I was able to bring them home and get them situated. Well, there was a particular class that I had to take, but I had to be in school in order to graduate. So this teacher was not budging. He was not letting my best friend bring my homework home at that time. So I'm just like, my mom was like, well, you're just going to have to go into school. We'll just have to figure this out. I'll just have to keep the kids while you're in school until it's only 3 months. So we end up getting the system going and everything like that. I'm driving. I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning to get ready for school, to drive from Coatesville to Phoenixville every single day for 3 months to get this diploma. So during this process, I'm getting up, obviously at this point, setting my mom up for the next day. So that's preparing bottles, making sure the diapers and stuff are lined up and how many she needs, their clothes and stuff set out for, just so she didn't have to search for anything, so she didn't have to go the extra, because she's already dealing with a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and now newborns at this point. So I kind of wanted to try to make it a little easier, even though I know her day wasn't going to be easy, but I wanted to try to take some of that stress off of her. So during this course, this was a schedule, and this was my life for 3 months. I did this every single day for 3 months. So doing this it was a strain and it was a challenge, because in between I would have to do homework and obviously juggle these babies, and sometimes it could be a lot to where I wasn't getting enough sleep, or I wasn't getting any sleep at all because of the time that I had to be up the next day to be at school. So it was a lot of sleep not happening during this point in time, but it was a sacrifice, and I would sleep later, as I always said, once I graduated. So I'm finally here, and graduation is right there. And another hiccup in the whole process. So the guidance counselor calls me down and is like, Takora, yeah, there was an issue with your one of your classes, and it looks like it pretty much hindered me from graduating. I'm like, so it was a gym class, one. So I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. I got all the way here. Like, I sacrificed and got all the way here, and now you're telling me that I'm not going to be able to graduate. So of course I'm like devastated at this point. So they're like, they look in my file, and they finally end up finding the letter that I had that said that I had more or less that I didn't have to take gym, that I had a permission because I was pregnant. So finally got that situated, so I was relieved with that. So here I am on the course. I think it was like 2 weeks, and I'm going to graduate. So those 2 weeks get here, and I'm not to say I was excited, but I was tired. I was tired, and I just kind of wanted this to be over and done with. I achieved my goal. I felt I got this diploma, and my mom could have went and picked it up, or I could have went and picked it up and just called it a day. Walking was just really not something I really thought about during this process, because all I just wanted to do was get the diploma. And then I think too, at this point, I was a little bit embarrassed. And during this whole course of this journey that I was telling y'all about, how people were judging me and how people looked at me, I think I still kind of had that even here on, even though I'm 19 at this point, but even still, I just kind of felt still a little embarrassed, and I didn't really want people looking at me. So that was probably another reason to why I didn't want to walk either. But my mom forced me, and she was like, no, you're going to do this because you accomplished this. You did this. You worked so hard for this. So here I am, graduation day. I'm in the hallway getting ready, and I'm still tired, and I just wanted to be over. But sitting here waiting. So finally we walk in, and we go sit down, and they're doing like the whole ceremony, and I'm just sitting there. Now I am getting excited at this point because I made it, and this going through my mind is I have accomplished this goal. And I'm sitting here saying, like, look at all the people that was talking about me and saying all this stuff about me, and look where I am. Look where I'm sitting here with this cap and gown on, and I'm about to get this diploma. So I really started getting excited for myself, because I made it. I did this, and with everything. So finally they call our row, we stand up, and now I'm getting excited. And I get to the podium, I get to the stage, and they're about to call my name. So I got butterflies, and I didn't even get emotional. I didn't even cry at this point, because I'm just excited that I'm gonna get this diploma, and I'm gonna be done. I can go home and go to sleep. So as I start to walk out, I see like all the principals and the counselors and everybody on the stage. They start to stand up, and they start clapping for me. So I'm like, saying to myself, what is going on? So as I walk out to go to shake the principal's hand and get my diploma, I go to turn to look in the audience, and my whole class is standing up, clapping, cheering me on, and they gave me a standing ovation. So this point, I was emotional, because I did not expect this. I did not expect to come out to all this love from my classmates, and to see this, it was nice, because during all this course and this process of getting to this stage of graduating, I never recognized what everybody else was recognizing about me, or seeing what I was accomplishing. I was just accomplishing this goal, and I didn't see anybody outside of me, and seeing how they really were looking to see what I was doing and see what I accomplished. So it felt really, really good to get that love for them, and I was really appreciative for that, because they don't know the journey and the obstacles and the challenges that it took me to get to that point, and the sacrifices and the tears and the lack of sleep. But here I am, and I felt really, I felt that it was all worth it to see not just my babies knowing that I accomplished this, but to see that I was recognized by my peers and by people that I didn't even think even really knew what I was doing or even really cared what I was doing, but here I am. So in this platform, I just kind of wanted to point out, as teenage mothers, a negative we just get a negative perspective of our lives and where it's going to end up. And I felt like doing this channel and doing these segments of pregnancy and how I was able to overcome and what I experienced being this teenage mom, and showing that those statistics are just so wrong. And it could be right maybe for some girls, but not all girls, not most girls. We're out here really pushing and striving to do better, even with the choices that we made prior. And I just wanted to show you girls that regardless of what they say you can't do, look what you can do. And use that to your advantage. And when they put you down, or when they think that you're not going to achieve, or think that you're not going to be able to accomplish anything, use that as your drive. Use that as your motivation and determination to just conquer through it all. With everything that you've seen that I went through all these segments, I never stopped. I never stopped my drive. I never stopped my determination. I never stopped my motivation to achieve this goal. And I have achieved this goal. Not only did I graduate from high school with 4 kids, but I also have a college degree as well. And I never let it stop me. I never let it stop me to do what I need to do for me. And here I am. Not only have I achieved and been successful in the things that I have done in life, my children have achieved and are successful in their lives, and I couldn't be any prouder of them. And all this was based on being a teenage mom. And things could have been different. Things could have went a whole totally different way for me being this teenage mom, but because I took on the fact that they were priority and they were always number one in my life, because I always wanted better for them, I feel as though all that sacrifice, it was all worth it. Everything that I've done up until this course in my life was worth it. Being that teenage mom, it was worth it, because now here I am and accomplishing so much. And to see my kids, that's the biggest thing for me, is because the sacrifices that I put out was for my kids. And to see them in their lives, to see where they are in their lives today, it makes me proud, because my sacrifice wasn't in vain. Everything that I did for them wasn't in vain. The lack of sleep, the tears that I shed through this course and this journey, none of that was in vain, because they have achieved and they have accomplished so much. So I want you guys to share, like, let me know your thoughts and your feelings about where you are as being this teenage mom, and are you faced with the same challenges being this mother, and now here faced with having to graduate, or went through a similar situation trying to graduate, and here you did it, even with all the obstacles and challenges that you were faced. So subscribe to my channel. Let me know your thoughts.